Files. Tonight we have Ricardo in the studio. He's a friend of the show, good friend of mine. We tried to do this previously, and things kind of got screwy. Audio got screwed up, so we're going to try to get it tonight, just doing it live. Welcome, Ricardo. It's good to see you, my friend. Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
I guess we'll just kind of start with where we were at last time, and we'll tell the same story again.
Sounds good.
So anyways, Ricardo has a pretty wild story, starting from growing up in Mexico City.
Yep.
And ending up in the United States in Miami, and then to Utah, and then Denver,
and then Maryland.
Yeah.
And back to Cody.
Yeah. So why don't you just start with a little bit of your background, where you grew up and and your journey, because you've had a pretty wild journey. I mean, I've had a wild journey, but yours is a little bit,
I don't think so.
It's a crazy story, man.
Yeah, I mean
and then to,
I grew up in Mexico City in a wealthy family, and when I turned 18, it was time to go to college, like all the other Mexican kids. But instead of following their path, I decided to look into a University of Miami, and that's where I ended up. So
yeah,
it was a great experience for me, and I mean, I learned a lot of things. And
it had to have been a crazy party school, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. I've never been to Miami.
No.
I've been to Orlando, and that's about it.
I swear, the weekend started Thursday and it didn't end until Sunday, because I swear, each time there was a football game or something, there was party time afterwards. And
yeah, that was I never realized that either until I got to college, and Thursday night was always the party night.
Oh yeah,
it was like what? Thursday night was always the craziest night, and then most of the time it just ran all the way through the week. Monday'd come along, you're just trying to recover, just keep on partying.
Yeah.
But yeah, the big parties were always on Thursday nights.
That's true.
That's weird. Every college I went to, that's how it was.
No, it was always like go to a sorority house and then just party it up there, and then go back to your apartment and keep partying it up. And then usually a party ended up at like 6 or 7 a.m. and it's time to go to class. So
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
If you make it.
Yeah.
I know I missed. I don't know how many classes I missed. I think my freshman year I had a 1.2 GPA when I was done with it. It was not good.
Yeah.
Not good. But anyway, so how long were you in Miami?
I was there for 3 years.
Okay.
And then I had to take a year off because I was suffering from intestinal problems. So. And during that year off, I met my dad's boss, who was a BYU graduate, and I transferred to BYU. Sadly, or
that's just. I mean, talk about a crazy culture change.
Oh my gosh!
University of Miami.
Yes.
Hot chicks running around everywhere.
Oh my gosh, everywhere.
Parties, just crazy, and the Miami lifestyle too. I mean, because the university, that's on what's on Coral Gables?
Yeah,
is the
Brickell Avenue.
Yeah. So I mean, how far is that from downtown, or like the beaches and
it's
stuff?
Like
it's right.
20
it's
minutes.
All right there, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So you're pretty close to like all the beaches and things that you always see on like the. I'm trying to think of some of the shows.
Yeah, it's like 25 minutes, 30 minutes. So yeah,
that's crazy.
And from there to Brigham Young University.
Yeah, to BYU. Where to the knees.
And I didn't have a clue what a Mormon was when I arrived.
Oh God. I can sympathize with that, because I ended up transferring to a Nazarene college.
Yeah,
and I didn't know what a Nazarene was. And when I visited that summer, talked to the baseball coach and everything like that, it looked like a great unit. Everything was nice, brand new baseball field. Facilities were cool. Coach seemed cool. The guys I met that were there that stayed over the summer that were on the team, they seemed okay. And then I would get there, and I was like, whoa.
Where the heck am
These people don't go to movies, they don't dance, they don't do any, going in the RA's like, you can have a girl in your room once a month on open house, and it's only for 2 hours, and your door has to stay open.
Yeah. It's the same deal at BYU. Yeah.
I made a rope ladder out my window. That was, jeez. University of Miami to BYU.
What a
crazy.
bigger contrast. I swear I just can't think of anything
And
so different.
So did you convert to the Mormon religion when you were there?
Yes.
You did. And is that's where you met your wife?
Yes.
Okay. And she's from here?
Yes, she's from Cody.
Okay. Yeah, that's crazy.
But I mean, my wife is great. I mean, she stuck by me, even though I lost my faith and everything. She stuck by me through all of that. So,
well, let's talk about when you're talking about loss. Let's talk about what you went through with your with your brain injury.
Okay,
because that's what's. I mean, to me, you're out of your story. I mean, that the Mexico City to Miami to BYU is really something. But then.
Yeah.
Expound a little bit on where you went from BYU and then what happened medically with you and your brain injury.
So from BYU, I used to work in Denver for a couple of years for an XBRL company, which is like just tagging financial statements.
Let me backtrack just a second for everybody. Okay. So you got a degree in finance, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Just so everybody knows. So you had a degree in finance, and so you're working in the financial sector.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I loved the job I used to have at Rivet, which was a company that got sold out.
Uh-huh.
And then the company that acquired Rivet acquired me. I didn't even know about this, but eventually they contacted me while I was in Denver, and they were like, hey, we have this job opening in Maryland. And I was like, holy crap. All right. I'll take it.
Did you know anything about Maryland before you went?
I had no idea.
Did you eat a lot of... what do they have? They have blue crab out there.
Crabs. Yeah, sea fish.
That's what I was thinking about, crab cakes. when I think Baltimore, I think crab cakes. And how shitty the Orioles are. Last time I was there, it was my buddy Josh and we went and saw the Yankees play the Orioles, and they just pounded them. It was like 17-1 or something when we finally.
But I think that I became a Nationals fan while I was over there and stuff.
I've been to a lot of Nats games as well. That stadium, though, God, it gets so hot there.
Yeah.
I mean, the last time I went with my brother and his wife and my son, and it got so hot that I kept having to take my kid up on the mezzanine, and give him like an ice cream cone or a Slurpee or something. Because, I mean, the seats were so hot you couldn't even touch the armrests, especially, afternoon games. It's hot out there.
Yeah. So, let me say that 2013 was great up until October.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I loved my job. I loved everything about the job. I was great. I was a team lead.
Yeah.
Doing XBRL. And then I noticed one day when I arrived at work that my right eye was red. And I had no idea why it was red. So I just went to an eye doctor and I was like, hey, my eye is red. I was like, fix it. And he's like, there's nothing I can do for your eye. So it's like, time to go see a neurologist.
Wow. So I mean, I know if I've got, if I were to see I had a red eye or whatever, I'd just think, okay, do I have pink eye? Or, so you're thinking you've just got maybe some kind of an, allergic reaction to something or some kind of a, eye infection or something. So then what happens? You go to a neurologist?
Yeah, I went to see a neurologist and he's like, you know what an AVM is? And I was like, I have no idea what an AVM is. And he's like, it's an arteriovenous malformation. And that basically formed when I was born, so I had no control over it.
Yeah. And so it just continued to kind of metastasize.
Yeah. And he's like, we rate them from levels 1 to 5, but if there was a level 6, yours could be a level 6. And I was like, what the heck are you telling me?
That's not what you want to hear.
Yeah. And he's like, well, you have like an 8% chance of survival. So
8%?
Yeah.
Wow. And so you're married. Do you have a kid?
We had Andrew.
Okay, so you're a father, and
Andrew was
working a job and living life and everything. Just going along just fine, and then you find out you have an 8% chance to live.
Yeah.
How do you react to that?
Well, I mean, first I just ran to my wife at home and I was like, hey, this is going on. And she called her cousin who was a neurosurgeon in Denver.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, well, I want you to take care of Ricardo. But I was like, you know what? I just trust the doctors I have here in Washington, D.C. So
yeah, they have good hospitals there.
Yeah.
So that's where you went to the hospital, was in D.C.?
Yeah. Well, I went to a hospital in Baltimore first.
Uh-huh.
But it took him like a week to even diagnose me. So it's like, why am I wasting my time here? It's like ridiculous.
So which hospital did you end up in? DC?
It was like, I don't remember. Let me check.
Is it the same one that Trump went to when he had COVID?
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah, it's
where they have the presidential suite at the hospital.
Let me check. I'll let you.
Was that Johns Hopkins? Or
no, that's the one in Baltimore.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember the name of it either. But I've spent quite a bit of time in DC. Actually, it's one of those places I like. After a couple 2-3 days.
Yeah.
Like my brother always called me, he's called me big country, and I'd be out there for a few days. I'd start getting salty. He's like, big country. It's time for you to get home. Okay.
Yeah. But anyways, after I arrived at the hospital, they just prepped me for surgery, and I was in. And supposedly they were gonna take the arteriovenous malformation out in like 6 procedures. And I was okay with that.
Right.
But once they went into my brain, they saw how big it was. They decided to remove it all in one procedure. So
how do they go about that? If you're talking about like 6 procedures, they make it in. Obviously they've got to go through your skull, so they make some kind of a incision or a hole, and then they go in with like a laser technology or something. So if you were to do it in 6 times, then they're going to have to go right back through that?
Yeah, because the plan was to cut little bits and pieces out and eventually remove all of it.
That's crazy. So how would that procedure work? Like would they leave that hole or that access through your skull open?
Yeah.
And so then you got to go right back in and go under, and then they're back in your brain again.
Yeah.
What happens when, like, do you remember anything about the surgery? Like, did you just go under anesthetic and then?
Yeah, I was out. So thankfully I was out because the procedure lasted 16 hours. So
16 hours?
Yeah. With
the same surgeon?
Yeah.
Now that's a hell of a shift.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there trying to save your life.
Yes.
That guy. Do you?
What
was he? Did you have any interaction with him after the fact? I would think you'd be connected with that person.
Yeah,
you got to be connected with that person in a major way. For somebody to spend 16 hours trying to save your life.
But it's funny because I had 2 neurosurgeons, and one of them I was his last procedure before he retired.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And the other one I still remember, and his name is Dr. Olisi, and he was great.
Do you ever talk to him?
Yeah.
That's great. So what happened after you came out of the surgery?
Well, after I came out of the surgery, it's funny because after the first surgery, which was supposed to be part of the 6 planned procedures, I came out quickly and I said hi to my wife, and then that's all I remember because they had to put me on their back again and drag me back in there.
Wow.
To remove the whole thing at once.
So you came out the first time and you did remember your wife?
A little bit.
Okay, and then what happened after they removed the rest of the mat?
I had no idea who she was.
So when you came out the next time after the procedure was done, you looked at your wife and you didn't even know who she was?
No, and the next time I looked at her was like January 25th or whatever, like a month after.
Wow.
And I looked at my son who was sitting on my bed and I was like...
Who's this kid?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I don't know who this kid is. So.
That's crazy, man. I just can't even. So when you came out, you had basically no memory.
Yeah, nothing.
But could you still speak? Did you still have like a knowledge of
a
language?
Little bit, because they asked my wife in which language you prefer him to learn, and she was like English.
Yeah. And so you start learning to speak again. So then you start learning English.
Yeah, but
what did you? So then, did you remember any Spanish?
No.
So, oh wow.
It was crazy.
So you grew up in Mexico City.
Yeah.
Obviously Spanish speaking.
Yeah, 100%.
And you go to Miami, which is a lot of Spanish speaking people. That, probably more Spanish speakers in Miami than there are people that speak English. A lot of bilingual people. Which is what's crazy about like any of the Hispanic people that I know. They speak English and Spanish, and it's not a big deal. In the United States, there's a lot. I've always told my son like we're actually signed up. I took a lot of Spanish in college. I worked with a lot of Hispanic guys, obviously in the construction trades. And I would always get put in charge of the Hispanic crews because I would make the effort to communicate. Because there was a lot of guys that couldn't. I mean, there was some that could. There's a little. We were like the same way. Like my Spanish, their English. Like I can understand Spanish. I mean, I can comprehend it, but I don't speak it that well. And especially not having been around it in a long time. Having lived here for like the last 8 years. I mean, when I was in Southern California, it was a different story. But
yeah, for sure.
So that's kind of crazy that here you go from I mean, that's the first language you learn, right? Spanish, right? And when you left for Miami, I'm supposing that you could speak English as well.
Yeah, I could speak.
Now, how does that work? Like, say in a place like Mexico City as a child, when do you start learning English as a second language?
I learned it since I was like 3.5. So
okay,
yeah,
and that's the big thing too. Is that I think from everything I've read is that like the younger you are, the easier the train. And then once you learn a second language too, it's from what I've read is that it's easier to learn a third and a fourth. And so
because I also learned how to speak Italian. So
those two aren't. I mean, there's a lot of similarities, and that's what's there's a different Spanish in every part of Mexico as well as in Spain.
Yeah,
because you talk to people from Spain, and it's a different Spanish. There's a lot of that. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to think of Jose Maria Olazabal. Like
Hostias.
Yeah.
It's like joder.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I guess it's like the difference between speaking the English that you do in Wyoming as opposed to Boston.
Yeah,
and the different accents or going down to New Orleans where you've got a little Creole thrown in there or whatever. But so anyway, so you come out. Your wife says English. So you don't remember a thing?
No. And let me say that this is crazy because I couldn't make new memories for the next 3 years. Each time I woke up, it was like a whole new day, whole new memory. So
just like wipe the chalkboard.
Yep. So I used to set my alarm clock on my phone to wake up half hour before my wife did. So that would give me enough time to read about Andrew, read about my wife, read about everything that I wanted to learn, and then.
So did you make like daily notes, or did you have did you have like a base note that like said, this is who I am, this is who this woman over here is, this is who this kid is, this is who I am.
Yes.
This is where I live.
Yep.
This is where and then just start building back. So like we'd said previously, I mean, I kind of compare that to that, what was that movie, 50 First Dates? Yeah. Where every day,
it's a new day.
Or Groundhog's Day. Not even that, because Groundhog's Day, he knew what was going on, but
50 First Dates,
yeah. Drew Barrymore didn't know. She just started off with wherever it was that she had,
And that's exactly how I was, because if I decided to take a nap in the middle of the day, by the time I woke up, it was all gone.
So sleep basically is sleep-based amnesia almost.
Yeah.
So you fall asleep.
And then whatever I used to do.
Would you remember your dreams or anything?
No.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Fall asleep, wake up.
My blank was blank.
How did you even know to grab your phone or whatever and look, or your notes?
It was just like an instinct just to reach over and grab my phone.
So that was one of those starting points then. So that was one of your starting points of regaining your cognizance and wow, that's just wild. It's crazy, man.
I know.
And then here you are. I mean, it wasn't that long ago.
No.
And here you are, and I mean, you're well spoken. It's like, and this happened when you were
31 years old.
31 years old, get a reset button.
Yeah.
That's wild, man.
And it kept happening until I turned 35.
Wow. 4 years of every day.
Yeah.
Clean slate.
Every single day.
I guess that could be a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get to start each day with a blank slate and don't have it, because so many people live in the past.
No, but it was crazy because I had to take care of Andrew.
Yeah.
Of my son, and then it's like
you don't know who he is.
Yeah, exactly. Every day I had to look at my phone and be like, "Hey, this is Andrew. This is your son," and then
he likes to eat.
Yeah.
Fruit Loops or This is what time he takes a nap. This is what yeah. And how old was he at that time?
He was 1 year old when I suffered a brain injury.
Wow. So waking up every day with a 1-year-old that you don't know.
And my wife was out working for me just to keep us living in Maryland.
Well,
so.
that's really stand up on her part. You know, to do that, to step up, and you know, I mean, you got to think about. I mean, she had to go through a lot with that.
Yeah.
I mean, that had been very difficult for her.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, here's her husband that she loves, and every day it's
and every day he doesn't remember who you are, what you are doing, and
you're working.
Yeah.
And you got a 1-year-old baby.
Yeah.
And a mother's instinct is to be home with that child. I mean, you know, it's just crazy, man. It's bizarre to think about this. I mean, wow.
I agree.
There's a lot of facets to that that are just, I mean, it's almost unbelievable. It's unreal. And then to come through it and be where you are right now.
I feel like my marriage is stronger because I suffer through that, which is not what a lot of people who suffer for a brain injury would say.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's funny how in life it seems like I was talking to a friend about this last night, that it's not the times in life where everything is going great that you look back upon and smile at. It's when shit gets bad. Yeah. And the people that stick next to you through that, and the overcoming of the trials and the bad times. And it seems like those are the things in life that you look back upon with fondness. Yeah. Even though at the time it sucked. Yeah. Like, it was shit.
I agree.
You know? But it's like, you don't look back at times where, like, oh yeah, I was making money and this and that. And you know.
Let me say, like, my birthday in 2019, I mean, I don't remember much about it. Yeah. But I don't remember that at that point, thankfully, I was able to start watching YouTube videos. Yeah. That's like, it felt like such a big milestone for me, because it's like, wow, I can remember how to do this. So
yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Yeah. So yeah, I can understand how that made your relationship with your wife stronger and better. And I mean, it had to have been difficult though.
Oh yeah.
For both of you, you know? And I mean, and your son who's, you know, I mean, you got a son that's grown up and coming of age, and yeah, it's a crazy story, man. Yeah. And so how do you end up here from Maryland?
Well, I mean, I kept going to my old job at R. Donnelly, and they decided to hold a position open for me for that whole time because I was so good at it. Right. But after a year trying to do the same job, it just wasn't for me anymore.
So cognitively, going back to your job in finance, I mean, did you remember anything about your college education?
That was a problem, because every day
I didn't know what to do.
I had to wake up early and then reread everything and hopefully try to remember.
So whatever you'd done the day before, was gone.
It was gone.
And I know, like, myself as a business owner, I mean, when I go to bed at night, like, there's so many things running through my mind, and I wake up and it's right there still. I can't even imagine waking up and going, okay, this is what I do. These are the clothes I put on. Yeah. This is
what I was working on yesterday.
This is where I go. Like, you probably didn't even remember the address of your job. No. I mean, so to reabsorb that in 30 minutes and then get out the door. It's wild, man. Yeah. I mean, it's a crazy story. It's just, I mean, there's not a lot of people that can tell that story. No. I mean, it's just really not a common thing. And it's funny because you and I just started talking one night at the liquor store. And you started telling me a little bit about yourself, and I was just like, "What?" And I was like, "Come on the podcast, man. I want you to tell your story." So here you are, man, and it's really cool.
And it's an honor.
Well, it's an honor to have you here, man.
Thank you.
And I'm happy that you're still with us and that you survived that, man. 8% chance to live.
Yeah,
8%. Think about that. I mean, dude, you survived some very large odds.
Yeah.
I mean,
at the point in which I made it for the operation, the doctor was like, I don't even know who this person will be once he wakes up. So
right. No, that's absolutely crazy.
Because he did his job, which was saving me in the first place, but he's like, I don't even know where his mind will be at. So
right. We getting some weird feedback here. I don't know what's going on. What we got going on here? I don't know. Getting a little crusty sound. You hear that? I don't know what that's all about.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
That. We're going to take a break.
Sounds good.
And then we'll be back with more from Ricardo. That's weird.